about 2 years ago, I was getting antsy in New York. I was living in Manhattan for a few years and didn't like the mindset that I was surrounded by. And I was looking to get out, but I didn't want to do it alone. So I kind of sat on it,
Well,
which
if you don't mind me interjecting, what do you mean by mindset? What about that, the New York mindset, like, that turned you off?
everyone's very stressed. Everyone just has one goal. I'm speaking in broad strokes here. I know I'm from New York. I grew up there for 25 years. So I know not everyone's like this, but on the day to day, these are the things that kind of seep through, at least in my experience. So I'm only talking from my experience. I don't need anyone getting upset that it's not them. I'm just talking from my own experience. And from that, what I saw, and this could be a fault of my own, all I saw was that had one goal, and that goal was just accumulate money at all costs, all means, no sacrifice other than their life, health, and family.
Not a
And
big deal. Nothing major.
yeah, so I guess I should say at all sacrifice. I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it was very anti my philosophy. And, there's this thing that a lot of people say, I forget who coined it, but surround yourself with the five people that that you want to most emulate or be like. I didn't have that. I was the five people I certainly didn't want to be with. And that is nothing to do with my roommates. My roommates were great. I just mean in the day-to-day life. My colleagues are great. I still work at my job. Just in terms of the daily interactions with strangers or acquaintances, just walking through Times Square every day, because I lived in Midtown, I worked in Midtown, and I was just trying to get out of that and match my philosophy to my surroundings, and which is basically money's not everything. You definitely need money. Money's important. Unfortunately, I guess more importance is placed on it than I think is necessary, but it is what it is. And, take life slow or slower. I mean, everything's slower when compared to Manhattan, and enjoy the ride. Like, don't wake up at 40 with several mil in the bank if you were smart enough to at least save some and not spend it all in three houses, but you have no friends or family to share it with, and I don't know people like that because, I mean, I'm only in my 20s, but I've read a lot of books and a lot of articles, and all those people that get to that point and then look back and then write books and write articles, they all say take it slow, enjoy the ride, you know don't sacrifice everything to accumulate money, because money's a tool. That's all it is. And if you can control the tool, great, but if you can't, it doesn't serve a good purpose.
I agree completely. Like, I'm somebody who does want to make a lot of money because I do like the freedom it gives. I think everyone does ideally want to have a nice amount of money. Some people are much more focused on it. I can say I definitely want a lot of it, but the mentality in general, the Florida mentality, there are people who hustle very hard, but it's definitely a slower paced state
Yeah,
overall.
I mean,
And
compared to New York,
without question.
you got
And
London, maybe,
yeah,
maybe.
right. And I definitely I like it because as much as I enjoy working, I do value hard work. A lot of people in New York don't have that balance. There's no gray area. And they bust their ass so hard and for so many years, and ironically end up coming here at the end of the day when it's all said and done. And it's like, why didn't
Right,
if
when
you
they're
wanted it,
60, 70.
right? So you did all that work, you put in all that time to live in this tiny little box that's quite frankly not worth it whatsoever. You barely spend time with people you care about. You worked for all that cash to do what with? So your grandkids can have millions of it. That's great. That's awesome. That's a very nice thing to do. It's admirable. But what about you? What about the people in your immediate family? What about your friends? And it's not to say that New York's not an awesome place. I love New York, but there are so many people, and you can just watch it. Like you said, you just walk through Manhattan and you just see people are completely robotic. It's
Yeah.
insane. It's such a difference. So going more into financial independence,
So yeah, you asked
like,
what I was able to do so far, at least.
yeah, like what have been your, when you first started out on this journey, what were the ways you thought to get there, and how far have you come so far? Like, what do you?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been working full time since mid 2016, so I'm coming up on 4 years. And during that time, I save around 70 to 80% of my income, and I just invest it in stocks, like nothing crazy, just index funds, very simple. And never touch it or haven't touched it. It's only been 4 years. haven't experienced, I guess, much turbulence except for this past month, or end of 2018, but not much.
Coronavirus.
Yeah, no, seriously, that
really is
affected the
crazy.
stock market.
It's terrible. China. It really goes to show you how important China is. It's a real shame because their economy brings so much to the world.
When we moved here, my goal was to move, and it would be great if I can keep my job. That was a secondary, goal. If I was able to, fantastic. I wanted to. I like my job. I like who I work with. I like what I do. I love the work culture. But at the same time, like I knew where I was, and I was done with New York, and I don't have millions of dollars, but I had enough money where I can, meet my expenses, especially if I would be coming down to Florida, because expenses would be a lot less, just in terms of housing costs. That's my biggest expense, and it would be a lot less. I didn't even think twice. I committed to you, to the apartment. I was like, get an apartment. I said, get an apartment. I'm in, and hopefully I'll keep my job. I don't think it'll be an issue. It may have been different if I thought it was an issue. I really didn't think they would mind because they're, like I said, a great place to work. But at the same time, I had the money that I would be okay if I kept my current expenses or even cut them. I'd be okay for like 2 years. And I wasn't planning on being unemployed. And the good thing about an actuary is they kind of command a high salary relative to similar positions that, people do very similar things, but they get paid 60-70%. I don't know if I should be saying this out loud because maybe I'll be screwing some actuaries over in the future, or even myself. If I couldn't find a job for a couple months, and obviously you never know, but I felt very confident that if I took a 20% pay cut, I wouldn't even imagine I would need to, but let's just say I did, I'll be qualified for a lot of jobs. So, and again, I was saving 80% of my money, 70, 80. So like if I took a pay cut, it's not like my expenses would overtake my income. Everything would be okay. So I just had this peace of mind I had this lack of peace of mind in Manhattan, and I saw an opportunity to attain some peace by moving out and moving into Florida. And, job, obviously, it was a tertiary goal, and I just wanted to move, and I had the peace of mind that I didn't have to worry about the money. And then another thing that comes to mind, I generally, I love traveling. Some people might say this is a waste of money, and that's fine. It's not your money. It's my money. No, because anyone can spend whatever money they want. Just don't complain that, that your credit cards are maxed out. I mean, if your credit cards are maxed out because you're buying 2 cars, we're not talking about medicine or cancer or treatments or anything like that. We're talking about typical American consumerism. Like, I'm not going to tell you not to spend the money, but if you ask me, I'm going to tell you you're an idiot. Yeah. I'm not going to say anything to your money. So what I do with my money, the part I don't save, I generally either spend it on rent, food, or traveling. And I have been for the past 3 years or so, 4 years, I've been taking a trip every third of a year, I would say every 4 months, maybe 4 or 5. And I would do a big trip, and like I wouldn't have to think twice about the cash because I would have the cash flow and have the savings. And I'm not flying first class. I'm not staying in 5-star hotels. Quite the opposite. But
hostels are better.
I was about to say
hostels
that's a separate discussion, but it's not because of the money. It's because I prefer it.
Definitely down to get into that. Do you want to go off real quick?
Yeah, that? Sure. I'll just wrap this up. So I don't have to think twice about that. I literally am like, oh, there's a thing going on in that country, or someone's off. And also, like I said, my job is very flexible, so I'm able to pretty much take off whenever. There's a couple points in the year where I really shouldn't, and I don't. So I'll just, take off as long as I have a buddy to go with, and I'll book things, spend the cash, and I don't have to think twice because I know it's there. I know I have it, and it's fantastic. I don't have to worry about transferring money to zero interest credit cards. I don't have to worry about getting a family loan. I don't have to worry about maxing out. I don't have to worry about my friend laying out. I just do it and I'm done. And I have a third thing, but we can go off and come back.